I know you've experienced your partner snapping at you before, right? Or maybe they shut down on you or become distant to where it almost feels like it's personal, like they're pushing you away to the point where maybe it feels disrespectful in the way they're doing it, feels like rejection or just a lack of love overall. But in reality, more often than not, whatever's going on with your partner, for them to act the way they're acting, especially if you're a little confused about it, has little to nothing to do with you, right? It's not an attack on you because it's not about you. It's actually about them. So I want to help a lot of you guys in this video today and give you a few key signs and areas to look out for that lets you know that if your partner is giving you this kind of an experience, that it has nothing to do with you and it's more about what they're going through, because that can empower you to then in turn help them, right? To actually help them work through whatever's going on instead of taking a defensive position. And now you start to combat things with them and it actually puts fuel in the fire. And then they do start turning their focus towards it being about you because they're already upset and triggered with something going on inside of themselves. Because honestly, that's what gets us most in trouble in the first place. Because as humans, right, it's natural for most of us to, think of self first, or when we are in close proximity with our partner, someone we live with and we spend a lot of time with, then it's our first instinct sometimes to assume if they're upset or seemingly giving us, a attitude that it's about us, right? Just by proximity alone. But then we're designed in a world with brains that are built to protect us and have us look out for danger or, look out for harmful things. And that kind of indirectly and inherently makes us the center of our universe. So as a first reflex, our system assumes we are a part of whatever's going on around us or why we're getting the result we're getting on some level in some way. So especially whenever your partner's snapping at you, it can instantly trigger you to maybe want to snap back because you're like, I don't deserve this, right? What's up with you, right? And then we start to go at them, or we start to approach the conversation in a, hey, what's wrong with you kind of way. And then what happens on the other side? Your partner already has something that's going on internally that maybe they're not sharing, they should be sharing, right? Maybe they're still in a space of processing, going through it or whatever, or maybe they're not even consciously aware completely as to what's going on inside of them. But the moment you take a defensive approach, right, and you start to kind of come at them and digging into it, oftentimes it gives that subconscious thing going on inside of them or whatever the deeper rooted reason is, even if they are consciously aware of it, it gives it a face. It gives it something for them to go attack now and to go fight against, to really vent that energy to where it's not even about you when they're actually fighting with you. If they do get into a dispute or argument with you, it's really about them trying to get rid of some of that negative energy and vibration that they're holding in. And they haven't consciously or subconsciously figured out how to do that yet. So you've become this kind of indirect subconscious way of trying to get that energy vented from their vessel, get it off their mind to release, right? But in real time, you can't see it as that. All you see it as an attack, as them rejecting you, as them being disrespectful, as them not loving you in the moment, right? Because that's the way the vibes feel. But I'm going to caution you this. The only reason why I can feel that way, or that it does feel that way to that degree, is if you're more focused on yourself than truly understanding what's going on with your partner. Now, just because you're trying to understand your partner doesn't mean it's okay that they're being this way, right? I'm not making an excuse for their way of operating. They have to regulate themselves better and communicate better with you. If they're going through something, they should tell you, hey, I'm just having a moment or a day. I'm sorry for snapping at you. Please don't take it personal. I'm just going through my thing, right? They should be able to do that. But hey, we're in a world where people are flawed and they may be dropping the ball, or they may be going through a season where it's hard for them to do that. So I want you to be equipped and aware so that you can be a contribution to the situation and not make it worse for yourself. And furthermore, beyond making it worse for yourself, you simply don't want to make it worse for your partner. If they are going through something internally, then nothing's worse than you adding more stress to the equation because you're taking things that they're doing too personal. Justifiably so. If someone's being, nasty to you or have an attitude towards you, hey, it's justifiable to feel a way back and to say something, right? But all things that are justified don't necessarily serve you. And what I mean by that is you can, fight fire with fire, an eye for an eye type of terminology, to where, yes, you may be justified to go and fire back, but is it actually going to serve you? Is it going to help you accomplish the outcome you want to have? which is unity. You're never going to get unity in your relationship by matching negative energy that your partner's giving off. You're just going to create more negative energy, and it's going to become worse. And you wind up actually sabotaging the ultimate goal, which is to be in love and be together and be unified. So the first sign that lets you know that it's not about you and it's something that's going on with them, right? Something they're going through, is whenever their reaction is disproportionate to the moment. Meaning, you notice they get angry over small things, right? Or they shut down over seemingly minor stressors, or they get really irritated without a clear reason. You don't even know why they're just upset. They just woke up mad today or whatever the case is, right? These are clear indicators that there is something deeper going on, and it should set the alarm off in your mind to go and start asking inquisitive questions out of concern and care, not out of frustration and anger, right? Or attack or interrogation. So the switch becomes, instead of assuming they're mad at me, what you ask yourself is, what might be weighing on them emotionally? If you can, notably say there's nothing that you're consciously aware of that you did that could have contributed to this, then assume that it's something going on with them that they need help with, right? Someone that's going through something deep, right, that's drowning, needs a lifeline, not judgment. Your second big indicator, they struggle to articulate what's wrong. When you ask them, hey, what's going on or what's bothering you, they say something like either, I don't know, flat out, or they say like, I'm off, or I'm just not feeling it today, or whatever the case is. And you don't really get a clear answer. This is an indication to you that it's not about you. It's really about them struggling to figure out their own emotions because they're confused internally. And if you can imagine not feeling upset and not knowing exactly why, it's a frustrating thing, right? Maybe even be a little scary, to where you might become edgy, you might become snappy, you might, become a little less pleasant, right? And it may come off like it's an attack towards the people around you, but for you, it's just you're scared, you're frustrated, and you're kind of spinning in your mind. You don't have certainty. One of our core needs, right? We need to have a sense of footing and grounding. We don't do so well as humans when we don't feel reassured, if nothing else, within ourselves, right? Because you feel like you're floating and you don't know what to do. Because one of our brain's main functions that is amazing at, that it like binges on and it must be able to do, is make sense of things. It's built to give us answers. I mean, you can test it. You can ask it answers to questions that you couldn't possibly know for sure. But if you harp on asking that question enough, your brain's going to give you some sort of an answer. It's going to give you some feedback, something to run with. Even if the conclusion is, well, we just don't know exactly, but here's why. Something has to make sense. So you can't make sense of your own emotions and how you feel. Oh, it's a recipe for disaster for you and how you're going to show up and operate with other people around you because you're struggling to figure you out. Always remember, people who are overwhelmed internally tend to project that frustration outward, even on the people they love most. Heck, that's usually the ones that catches the stray bullets, if you will, gets caught in the crossfire the most, because you're the closest to them. You're in proximity. So that frustration usually falls on who's around them when they are venting and so forth or being snappy. But even furthermore, you're probably the person that they confide in, that they turn to whenever they talk to about most things anyways, to where it just happens to get shifted into, you become a target sometimes unintentionally whenever they're going through their most difficult internal battles. So what I want you to practice doing, or try, is instead of reacting defensively, instead of getting triggered the way you may be, right? Whenever you notice them going through a space like this, they're snapping at you, they're doing all the things, right? As best as you can, keep a still face. Don't react at all. And when they're doing all this in front of you, just look at them. And I want you to say to them, hey, I can tell you're overwhelmed right now, just as calm as I'm saying it, right? I can tell you're overwhelmed right now and seems like you're going through a lot. Just know I'll be here whenever you're ready to talk about it. And leave it just like that. I'm telling you, they won't be able to appreciate it or fully embrace it maybe in that moment. Heck, you might catch them off guard and pull them out of their pattern of the rut that they're in, right? But they are going to appreciate and love you so much more whenever they're back in a healthier space. It's going to mean so much to them whenever you were there for them and you stood strong as a rock for them when they were in one of their weaker moments, in one of their not so vibrant or bright moments, whenever they weren't being their best selves. It's going to do loads of justice for you, for them, and for your relationship, I promise you. Simply said, your goal is to create a safe space for them, right? A place where they can, start to open up if they so choose to, right? And now the last piece that lets you know that it's not about you, it's them, something going on with them, is whenever your partner starts to show up differently than they usually do. They're not showing up how they usually are in the relationship. Meaning if they're typically affectionate, but they're not being affectionate all of a sudden, or if they're typically really engaged, but now they're all of a sudden distant and things like that. When they're usually talkative, but now they're quiet abnormally, right? Distant when they're usually, really up in your space and trying to connect. This should be the most obvious sign to you that something's wrong, something's off. And they need you more than ever instead of you, questioning yourself in the equation, question them and where they may be struggling. And so one of the best things you can say in these moments are simply in a loving way, lighthearted way, a truly inquisitive type of tone, right? Hey, you seem a little different lately. You're good. You okay? Or, anything you need to talk about or want to talk about, or is there any way I can help? Or, what do you need? Right? Just sometimes you have to just proactively insert the help towards your partner, not overstepping. Hear me clear when I'm saying this. I don't mean impose yourself on them, right? If you're starting to do stuff to where they clearly seem like they want to be left alone, don't press it. But sometimes instead of just asking and waiting for them to give you all the keys to the ignition or the answers as to what they need you to do to help and everything else, just jump in to ask, hey, how can I help? Or what do you need? Skip past the do you need something and ask them, what do you need? Right? That assumes they need something. And instead of saying, hey, do you need something at all? And they say, oh, no, I'm fine. I'm good. Right? Skip past that piece and get straight to the what do you need? I can tell something's off. Right? Speak out, call out what you're seeing. What do you need? What do you need from me? Because you might be more inclined to get an actual response from them that actually helps the situation. Right? Actually helps them more. Sometimes people get stuck in their own little world and they feel like they have to go through things alone and their ego gets the better of them and all these things and their pride to where sometimes they need you to pick through that ice for them, help them out, go in and assume that you already know that they need something, state what you're seeing and then say, hey, what can I do for you? Right? What will help? Right? It's almost like the tactic you see some salespeople use, right? Whenever you ever go to the store and they're trying to get you to sign up for something and they walk up to you and say, hey, you look great today. Look here, come over and check out what I got going on. They didn't ask you if you cared about what they had going on. They didn't ask you if you were looking to sign up for anything new today or checking out this new product. They just told you, come on over and check it out, right? They just assumed that you'd be interested, right? Do the same thing for your partner whenever it's applicable and it makes sense, right? Again, do not overstep boundaries. If they're clearly giving you the signals and says, hey, I want to be left alone, I don't want help right now, then respect that and just let them know you're here when they're ready. But if they're not giving you that and they're just kind of in the space, but they're not saying what's going on and they're having a hard time maybe opening up about that, then pick into it for them. Help them out. This is what it means to be there for your partner when they need you the most, right? That means you have to be willing to read and be aware of your partner and where they're at and when they need you to have their back, have their six, right? When they need you to, be proactive and be the one leading with the positive energy in the productive state when they're not able to be in that state. And we all need that. So if you and your partner are going through like a rut space that you can tell it's not to do with you and it's something going on with them, but they're either not opening up or having a hard time doing it, and you don't know how to get through to them and how to kind of help things and get them back on track or how to support them best, and you want to learn how to do that so you can make sure your relationship thrives, then email or DM me the word coaching and we will get to work as long as you're truly ready to put that work in. If you're not ready for one-on-one coaching, don't have the time, space, or maybe even the resources, then at least email or DM me the word revival to join my Relationship Revival Hub community where you can learn the same things I teach my clients one-on-one at your own pace on your own time. Either way, do something to get in the race. Let's get it.